The blockchain scaling wars are over, and Celestia is a major force to be reckoned with. Welcome back to the post-throughput era of crypto, also known as the Fibre Blockspace era, enabling a mind-boggling 1 terabytes per second throughput for our beloved blockchains. As always, my name is 𝗬𝗵𝘁 and you're watching On-Chain Trenches. In today's video, I would like to introduce you to Celestia's new vision, the Fibre Blockspace era, bringing every market on-chain. We will discuss novel crypto applications that are uniquely enabled by this massive block space and how Celestia is going to position itself in the post-throughput era to generate meaningful revenue and funnel it back to the TIA token. Alright, without further ado, let's directly jump in. Celestia just introduced Fibre Blockspace, which is a new data availability protocol capable of sustaining up to 1 terabytes per second of block space across 500 nodes. This is a staggering 1500x throughput improvement over their initial goal of 1 gigabyte blocks. But before we dive deeper into the Fibre Blockspace announcement, let's first watch together their official announcement video.
These are the copper cables that once carried the world's most important signals.
Messages to loved ones across unthinkable distances.
The trades and transactions that birthed our global economy.
Even the foundations of the very internet you're watching this on.
But every breakthrough eventually becomes a bottleneck.
The more data we generated, the more bandwidth we required.
Those miraculous metal tubes would soon be replaced with glass.
An undersea network of fiber optic cables moving data at the speed of light.
Enabling instantaneous communication and trading volumes and speeds like never before.
Finance entirely native to the internet thanks to blockchain technology.
While the internet moves at unthinkable speed, Blockspace has been limited, stuck in its own copper era.
A big shout out to the Celestia team or whoever was in charge of this video. Honestly, this was one of the best crypto announcement videos I've ever seen. But yeah, let's unpack this announcement of Fibre Blockspace. So here they shared this beautiful graphic of the evolution of Blockspace back in the days as Ethereum launched one of the first smart contract platforms. We had a throughput of 10 kilobytes per second, which enabled first crypto-native applications like crypto-to-crypto AMMs, which stands for Automated Market Maker Exchanges, which are just decentralized exchanges like the Uniswaps, PancakeSwaps, Meteoras of this world. Then the second phase of the blockchain evolution was kickstarted towards the end of 2024, at the beginning of 2025, with the rise of Hyperliquid and other perps dexes that for the first time put entire order books on chain, which required massive throughput up to 10 megabytes per second. But now with Fibre, we are entering the third phase of the block space evolution, which now enables every market to move on chain, demanding massive data throughput of up or even beyond 10 gigabytes per second. And now you can think of markets like ad space markets, agentic payments, AI markets, attention markets, but also traditional commodities that we used to trade on TradFi rails like commodities, stocks, or other RWAs to fully move on chain. What's the secret sauce behind Fibre and how does it work? So here they shared another beautiful illustration showcasing their new technology, which is called Zoda, which stands for Zero Overhead Data Availability, and it is a 881x improvement over their previous methodology that they used to encode data called 𝗪𝗪𝗁. So with their old encoding method, they were able to encode 0.17 megabytes per second on a 1 megabyte blob, But now with Zoda, which is basically a new super ultra fast DA encoding protocol, up to 150 megabytes per second can be encoded. Here in this visual, I prepared the key data improvements that Celestia Fibre brings to the table. As we've said, it now enables up to 1 terabits of throughput, which translates into a mind-blowing 1.25 billion in transactions per second. If you think of it, that's almost one single transaction per second for every human being. And this comes together with this new encoding mechanism that is 880 times faster than the previous encoding protocol. And now they are introducing Fibre as a second product or service to the Celestia product offering. This does not mean that the previous layer 1 data availability platform will disappear. No, they're simply introducing a second faster lane, which is tailored for new applications or rollups that need massive data throughput. So everybody that is building on Celestia right now, they can just keep building and using the old methodology for applications that require a max blob size of up to 8 megabytes, while the new Fibre lane enables applications to consume up to 128 megabytes. And of course, this is not live on testnet now, but they tested this new network in production across 500 machines in North America. And one super cool feature of Zoda is that it is so lightweight that users can generate proofs. This is a superpower, as it means concretely we get way better censorship resistance out of the box. I don't wanna bother you with technical jargon, but this basically means that now through Zoda, this new data availability process, everybody out there, you and me, we can use our devices like our phones or our computers, laptops, to verify and secure the Celestia blockchain itself. By running light nodes on our devices, we are scouring the blockchain and verifying that everything there runs smoothly and nobody is cheating. And this massively increases the censorship resistance, and on the other hand, unlocks a lot of new use cases like replacing P2P networks. After the Fibre Blockspace announcement, just one day later, Celestia dropped their new vision of bringing every market on-chain, since now Blockspace is abundant, new and novel applications can be built. And now we're taking a closer look at how Celestia is positioning itself in this new post-Blockspace abundance era. Now that the crypto scaling wars are over with 1 terabyte blocks or 1.25 billion transactions per second, if we take a step back, that's almost one single transaction per second for every human being on Earth, or AI agents acting on our behalf or interacting with other AI agents, drones, robots, and so much more. And this, of course, enables lots of new and exciting applications that weren't previously possible. So now let's take a look at these applications. So what are those novel applications and markets that now can finally move on-chain? First off, we have ad-space and attention markets that are now feasible with live on-chain auctions and attention futures. Moreover, pay-per-crawl for AI agents becomes now possible. You, as a website owner with proprietary data, can now monetize AI data access, which means if those AI agents or these big hyperscalers building their AI models, you can charge them now a fraction of a cent for their agents to go onto your website and harvest like your proprietary data, which is a new business model which now finally becomes possible. Moreover, the agentic economy and payments between agents and robots will be another feature that is uniquely enabled by 1 terabyte per second in data throughput, since now agents can economically interact with each other's, robots can pay each other's, leveraging and taking advantage of micro payments, massive data throughput, and dirt cheap transactions. And of course, finally, real-world assets will move fully on-chain. Think of commodities like gold, corn, oil, but also bonds and stocks. They will all soon be available 24/7 in a fully permissionless environment, accessible for everyone around the globe at a fraction of the cost at which they are traded right now. Here we have Mustafa, the co-founder of Celestia, stating that Celestia is for on-chain markets that are first, novel and require their own stack or customizability. Second, have ultra-high throughput, requiring abundant block space. And third, have millisecond latency, requiring the latency of a web server. Furthermore, he continues, on-chain markets as a category are much bigger than just crypto asset trading. Think of things like ad space markets, agentic payments, 𝗪𝗵𝗺𝗀𝗃, or even just RWAs. All of those things are uniquely suited to roll up infrastructure, which is just verifiable servers. And 𝗬𝗪 takes it even one step further. He says that markets are the most important technology humans have ever invented. Let that sink in for a second. They are the most scalable coordination technology ever invented. Vast swarms of AIs will use markets to coordinate as intelligence expands into the galaxy. And data availability is the fundamental infrastructure that makes it possible for market participants to determine if the market they rely upon operates fairly without relying on regulators. Because now, with Zoda, the new data availability mechanism of Celestia, everybody out there can use their mobile phone and contribute or participate in those on-chain markets by verifying that all the transactions are correct, that nobody is cheating, and that the entire system is secure. Hence, 𝗬𝗪 says every secure computer is a financial market, infinite markets. But now you might say, hey 𝗪𝗵𝘁, this really sounds cool and compelling, but how is Celestia gonna generate revenue out of this new technological breakthrough of making block space abundant? And here in this graphic, I'm trying to outline how Celestia is going to generate millions, if not billions, in revenue going forward. So let me start off with this analogy of taking the cloud, which is basically the substrate that enables the current internet and all the AI development. And in 2023 alone, cloud providers like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, they generated almost 700 billion in revenue, which is just mind-blowing. And then 𝗪𝗁 ran an analysis where they figured out that big software companies like Uber, Salesforce, or Netflix, they are spending up to 50% of their revenue on cloud. So if we have the mental model that cloud infrastructure providers were the substrate that enabled this massive boom and growth of internet companies, and we take it one step further and say that Celestia and the high throughput block space that it is offering will enable the next growth phase of blockchain applications, but also other protocols or markets that are moving on-chain that previously haven't not existed, then Celestia is creating this new market, enabling new protocols or new applications like exchanges and trading venues, DeFi protocols, and as we said before, all the markets that are not on-chain right now, but with Celestia they can move on-chain, which makes them much more efficient, and of course enabling new markets like agent-to-agent payments or ad space marketplaces. This could generate this massive revenue, and if then Celestia takes a moderate take fee of 3 to 5%, which is super low compared to the hyperscalers, which take like a 50% cut sometimes, then these revenues will flow back and accrue value to the TIA token. And here we have some forecasted revenue targets. The first one is the midterm target, and here they suppose that they can scale applications building on Celestia to a hyper liquid scale level, meaning that they are together generating roughly 1 billion of annual revenue. And if then Celestia comes in and takes a 5% take rate, that would count up to 500 million in revenue every single year. And over the longer term horizon, if businesses like Binance move on-chain and generate roughly 20 billions in revenue on an annual basis, and Celestia takes a very low take fee of 3%, that could generate more than 600 million in revenue for the Celestia protocol itself. And here, once again, quoting Mustafa, in 5 years, one of the two following things will be true. Either on-chain markets will still be a niche for crypto-to-crypto trading, just the way it is right now. We're trading meme coins, shit coins, governance coins, store of value, Bitcoin, etc. Or they will be the substrate of how AI, humans, and organizations transact for everything. Think of compute, data, attention, money, and of course, real-world assets moving on-chain. And Celestia exists to make the second future happen. And sometimes, I don't know if it's luck or coincidence or whether they planned it, but yeah, just a few hours after Celestia made their Fibre Blockspace announcement, the SEC chair, 𝗬𝗪𝗿 went live on TV, and he said that all US markets will be on-chain within 2 years. And I mean, if the SEC chair says so, then the final and $1 billion question becomes, where will those markets be hosted? Will they be run on a layer 1 like Solana or Ethereum, which might be throughput constrained if they are not scaling transactions per second, or whether they will run on this neutral data availability substrate that Celestia offers? I think the jury is still out, but I mean, this remark here made me generally massively bullish on crypto overall. Now, what is Celestia doing over the next 2 years to increase their probabilities of success? First, they are now entering strategic partnerships for high volume builders. So rather than selling Blockspace to thousands of rollups out there, they are strategically designing to double down on a few protocols and closer collaborate with them, helping them co-design their entire stack. Because to be honest, a few years ago, everybody thought that there will be hundreds, thousands, probably millions of blockchains that all communicate with each other. But the sober truth is that as of now, there are max 10 crypto protocols or applications that have real product market fit, and that's what Celestia realized. Hence, they are now entering into partnership with these products that have product market fit and help them scale their infrastructure and help them build a better product. Second, they are trying to verticalize around Blockspace, meaning to make Celestia irresistible and super sticky, so that people, once they opt into Celestia as this data availability platform, that they stick around and don't just move out. Hence, they have to build and curate mission-critical infrastructure like private Blockspace interoperability primitives, because just imagine somebody launches a new perp stacks on Celestia, but of course they want to have access to Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and all the liquidity out there. Hence, it will be key that Celestia is interoperable with all the other systems out there. And of course, help to bootstrap and improve Celestia native frameworks like Sovereign SDK and Evolve to make it easier for builders to build on Celestia. Third, make blob submission boringly reliable. So simply speaking, it shouldn't matter where you're building your layer 2 rollup, your application, whatever. Sending and submitting blobs to Celestia should be super straightforward and boring, and integrating with Celestia's APIs should be just one-click deployments and don't take up a lot of valuable developer time. And finally, number 4, revisit their blob pricing strategy. As we all know, until today, Celestia barely generated any revenue because their Blockspace was basically free and they kept the fees slightly above 0 to prevent spam. But this, of course, didn't help them to generate any meaningful revenue, and going forward they're thinking about new price models that are sustainable but still cheap enough for everybody out there to post data onto Celestia. And here is one of my major predictions for 2026. I think that one of the big protocols and breakout crypto applications will migrate until the end of 2026 to Celestia to just keep up with their massive demand for data availability or just simply throughput. And I think that one of the two leading prediction markets, either Polymarket or 𝗬𝗪cie, will eventually migrate to Celestia. I mean, Polymarket currently runs on Polygon, and if they just keep scaling their business as they did over the last year, eventually they will run into some throughput bottlenecks, and the same is true with 𝗬𝗪, which is currently not running on blockchain rails as far as I'm aware, so it makes sense that they collaborate with Celestia to come up with their own purpose-built blockchain to just scale out of their prediction markets platform. And another strong contender that might use Celestia for data availability is Zcash, especially with Tachyon and their efforts to scale private transactions to millions of people. And very curiously, 𝗬𝗪, one of the Celestia OG developers, he just recently transitioned to Zcash working on the Tachyon product. So yeah, I'm super curious to see what's cooking there and whether they will enter a partnership with Celestia. As I said in the introduction, the scaling wars are now won. Hence, Celestia can now shift its focus. With throughput effectively solved, Celestia is now closing the chapter on scaling bottlenecks to focusing on building products that utilize this abundance. So put in other words, they are now moving away from the scaling wars toward product and infrastructure evolution. And 𝗪𝗪 just said on a recent X Spaces that over the next 1 or 2 months, they are announcing their partnerships and products they are working on. And I'm very interested in finally hearing who they partnered with and what they are building. But what about the Celestia runway, you might ask, which is a super fair question. I mean, look at the chart here. Celestia launched around $2 and then had this meteoric rise. It almost 10x'd within a few months after launch. I guess it hit a peak around $20, and now it's down only over the last 2 or 3 months. I mean, 95% down from the top and 75% down from its launch price. So a lot of folks out there still believe in the Celestia vision, but they might be a little bit concerned about the runway and their treasury on whether they can sustain funding and development going forward. And here 𝗪𝗪 replied, yes, we still have more than 100 million in cash in the bank and have a comfortable runway of 5 to 6 years. Cool. And now, yeah, I would like to share some personal thoughts. I've been a long-time believer in Celestia, but lately I grew a little bit more skeptical, and honestly, I began to unstake all of my TIA just a few days ago, I guess. Around 1 week passed, and then they dropped this massive announcement, and yeah, I read through it. I did my research, which I shared here with you. And then I came to the conclusion that Celestia is not dead, and I interrupted or paused the unbonding or the unstaking of Celestia, and yeah, give them a few more months to prove that they can turn the ship around and keep innovating at the bleeding edge of crypto technology. But for this thesis to play out, they really have to deliver or at least collaborate with other projects that build with Celestia underneath to launch a killer product that generates millions, if not billions, in revenue for their thesis to be proven right. Hence, I will keep a very close look at the launch of Bullet, allegedly the fastest perps change out there. They're building a sort of layer 2 on Solana, which enables them to have, I guess, 10 millisecond block times. So this is probably, as of now, their biggest shot on goal. But there are other high caliber projects about to go live on Celestia that you should definitely keep an eye on, like Noble building their application layer with Celestia underneath, or other highly promising perps protocols like VEX, Converge, or 𝗪𝗵𝘁. All right, that's it for today. Thanks guys for watching. I hope you got some value out of it. And if you did, please do me the favor and hit the like buttons and subscribe to this channel to help me grow this channel to reach a broader audience and to spread the word about Celestia, ownership coins, and MetaDAO, privacy coins, AI agents, and so much more. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. 𝗬𝗵𝘁 out. See you in the trenches.